Now it says on air. Uh, Next we got Justin.
Hey, I'm Justin. You can follow me at gogojira_ on Twitter.
And I'm Matt from Project NORAD.
I know we've introduced ourselves a few times, but now you actually get to see our faces, so
For better or worse,
Excellent.
right?
Let's get
Yeah.
right into it, guys. The unveiling of EverQuest Next. How'd you guys feel?
A little maybe. I've had my ups and downs with it. I think I've went through fits of really not liking what I saw, and then I guess I don't know. I'm a little bit higher on it now, but I still think the unveiling overall was a little weak because they did a lot of promising without a lot of showing anything. So I don't know how you guys felt about it, but definitely could have went for some more information. They talked about story bricks for a while, and they did a lot of talking, just not a whole lot of showing. So.
Yeah, I would
Yeah, I
have
guess I
liked.
can kind
I
of
liked what
that.
we saw,
Okay.
but I would have liked to see some more of the AI. Like they talked a little bit about the AI, but I would have liked to see it in action.
I just wish they showed more of the world, honestly. I wish
Yeah.
they showed a
Yeah,
little bit more combat rather than like them few scripted scenes, and more races would have been nice too, honestly. They have to have more than two of them made. There's no way the Karen humans all they have actually in game. I wish they would have
No.
showed the Dark Elf.
Yeah, and I thought that was a weird thing to show the Karen as one of the two, I guess, premier races. Because first off, he looked pretty awful. I don't know how you felt about it, but I think he looked like a weird kind of Chester Cheetah look to his face, elongated with a weird mop of hair on his head. And I don't know. I thought that was a really weird choice to go with because he looked pretty dumb. I didn't think the human was that bad, so I don't know how you felt about that. But the Karen is actually offensively bad.
I think the Hugh girl looked great. I actually really liked her.
Yeah.
I kind of really am into like the exaggerated eyes and mouth that they did for
yeah.
whatever reason. I do like that. The Karen or the Kara, whatever you call it,
Karen.
loved it. I just didn't like the lion face. I think the armor looked good. I think the whole body style shape when it sprinted and got down, I liked it all. I wish it was a tiger and not a lion, honestly.
Yeah, I think even when you compare it to the artwork that they had shown in that Gabor painting, I think it's a really big step down. Yeah, it's just he looks like he would talk really almost like the Cowardly Lion. Like it just seemed as an idiot essentially. So, but yeah, the animation was actually pretty sweet whenever he got on all fours and started running because it's nice not to see the
Dude, or the Hulk jump through the air.
Yeah, that was awesome.
badass.
yeah. I guess I'm
I
still a
think
little
that
weird about that though. Do y'all like all
Really?
do you like all the double jumping and the okay? And just to be clear, like I think in theory some of that traversal stuff seemed neat, like hopping over the ledges and the parkour stuff, but like it looked pretty janky right now. I don't know how you felt about like the sliding over the rock. The animation was really weak, so
It was really
I
quick.
think that'll all come together for sure,
yeah.
and I like it. I just think it makes the game actually feel more like a game for whatever reason. I think the
Yeah.
combat looks better. I think the movement style looks better. It's more appealing to me. I've kind of
Yeah.
always wanted MMOs to go that direction.
Hmm.
Right.
So we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but back to kind of the unveiling. Pretty much the first thing we saw on the debut day was that sand art. Pretty cool.
Too much.
Well,
Too
I think
long.
it was like, what was it, about 4 or 5 hours long, or at least that's what it felt like. So, like, I think whenever you show like 7 hours of sandbox, or not literally sandbox material, and like you don't actually show, I was expecting some kind of proper trailer maybe, or something to get me hyped for it, and we got none of that.
Right.
And in fact, there was a few people that, I guess just forums and everything else, it almost had me thinking maybe this would launch a lot sooner than we were all anticipating. And I mean, I guess you got Landmark coming, which we can talk about later, but ultimately there was way more talking about what EverQuest Next would be than actually seeing it. So that's where I think this whole, it seems like SOE is pretty happy with this unveil. And like, granted, they got a lot of positive press about it, but they really didn't show anything. Like, I don't see that much to be excited about it right now, except for a bunch of words.
Dude, I'd have to disagree. What I saw was pretty badass.
Well, you can disagree. I mean, you just got to understand that you're wrong.
Dude, they showed us the
Um,
voxel world, and
That's a
just
popular
so
word
awesome.
now, Voxel.
That's really awesome to me.
Yeah, apparently it's a $12,000 website on eBay.
Yeah, voxels.
And you
We
see
got
that?
We got them.
Some guys actually selling EQ voxel the domain for like $2 to $12.
It's a hot word right now. Voxel and EverQuest. That's
Yeah.
two very, very trendy words. No, though. I mean, I think it. How do you feel about the voxel world now? Like, I know we saw like a couple very, very early looks at EQ Next with the what I guess I assume to be Fade Arc and the shot of Freeport. Nothing looked as good as what those two screenshots had shown. So, I mean, is the trade-off worth it? Are you guys excited about it?
I think it's totally worth it because it's like it's going to be one of the major features of this game. Is just you could break down a wall.
You can break anything.
It adds a whole new way of traveling.
Yeah, I just it's all good and well, and the layers.
It makes harvesting way cooler.
It's
way cooler. Like harvesting sucks in all other games.
Yeah, I mean it definitely adds a lot to the world for sure. I still can't help but look at the original screenshots that were shown and kind of wish it still looked like that.
Yeah, especially when you hear.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I almost wish I never seen them because if I'd never seen those original screenshots, I would be completely 100% happy with the way it looks now.
Some of the footage in that the creating a world panel, like it showed the new Freeport, I guess the voxel Freeport, and it definitely did not look as good, but they would definitely had made pretty good progress with it. And I know now what they showed at SOE Live was certainly more advanced than what they were showing in that panel. So I'm pretty confident they'll get it pretty close. I don't think it'll ever be as good as a static Freeport per se. But I guess like the voxel thing is neat. It just depends on if it equates more to just digging a hole in the ground, because that's going to get a little tired eventually. I think how are they going to make it actually have any kind of meaning in the world?
Well, check this out. For instance, they haven't talked about PvP yet.
Yeah.
What if PvP is a big thing in this game or on some servers? Like, think about that. Like, what's that's going to add to combat?
Digging holes under everybody's feet.
Yeah, like you pop up behind somebody or knock a tree over on them or something. Like, I think they said that if you like break a rock, like if pieces hit mobs and stuff, it actually damages them.
See, and that's a problem. Like that's great in theory. Like I'm glad they have that. I guess the vision of what they could do with voxels. I just wanted to see. That's what this whole unveil felt like to me. Is a bunch of promises, and I don't know if you guys have like checked the track records of MMOs and promising, but it doesn't always end up adding up to what's actually in the game. So like they say things like, well, there's no Trinity, but our AI system is smart enough to basically compensate for that. But that's great. Show me it. Like we saw nothing. But,
yeah, like I was saying, they did mention AI. They should have shown us.
Like the Storybricks thing seems cool, but I'm not gonna lie and act like I understand it all. Like the best case scenario for me is if they would have actually shown the shit, because that's where I have a problem with it. Like I can do all the research in the world and maybe I'm not gonna fully comprehend it, but what separates it from in game battles? Like is it really? Am I gonna notice it so much that I'm gonna say, oh, screw the Trinity, I don't need it anymore? So it's great in theory. I want to see it. Like, I want to see it in action. And SOE Live, this was very. If anything, it just made me confident in that this is at the earliest 2014 holiday release. Maybe maybe even 2015, because everything seems so early on.
I agree with 2015. With the lack of information they showed, I mean, they showed us a lot compared to what we knew before this. But I honestly think just the fact that we knew nothing is why everybody was kind of so happy with what we did get. But in reality, when you actually take a couple days after that, step back and look at what we know, there's so many questions. I feel like. I found stuff out, but now I almost feel like I know nothing again. Like,
right?
They showed us a couple systems, but I still have no idea. Like the voxels, how much of an impact is that going to play? Now we're back to the what ifs. What is it going to do in PvP? What is it going to do here? All they did was show us a hole in the ground.
We're not going to answer that question at this SOE Live. That's what I felt like I heard of it. Everything is subject to change. We're not going to talk about that. Well, what the hell? What kind of unveil was it?
I wish there was more concrete in it. I understand that, I guess I just didn't realize how early in the production stage it was. That's my own fault. I was assuming more that it was a lot further along and that, they might come out and say, here's the game, it's almost complete. But I was wrong.
At SOE Live 2012, Smedley mentioned how, they were going through another reboot of the game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people expected all of the art assets were coming with it, And they in 2011 they switched to the destructible world, voxel-based world, and they had to figure that out. It sounds like they're gonna have to rebuild the entire world. Like maybe
Yes, they did have to rebuild the entire world from scratch.
even
Something that we
the
all assumed they
characters. I'm
wouldn't have to
thinking
do.
you probably had to redesign the characters to look like they fit in the voxel world with
okay.
that art style.
So I think we talked about this a little bit before this show, but do y'all think it fits? Because for me, it almost feels like PlanetSide 2, because it's using the Forge Light engine, of course. It looks like the environment's almost like PlanetSide 2 influenced, and the characters are very, very super cartoony. And I don't know if the blend is there yet for me. Like I almost feel like the environments are more realistic than the characters that are inhabiting the land. You know, so maybe that's
kind
just
of
me.
agree there. I
I don't
think,
know. I think some of the
especially
close-up
because they
screenshots, like
desert.
the landscape, even looks cartoony to me.
I mean, that desert just kind of looked like a basic, realistic-looking desert. Not realistic, but, you know, it looked more of like a realistic style than
Yeah.
some of the original screenshots. And then when you have kind of like the super cartoony characters running through it, it does almost look like they don't completely fit together.
I don't
But I
think
think
it
it
was. Yeah, I don't think it was like the female so much as it was the Karen. Looked a little goofy to me, you know. So I mean, we'll see. Hopefully they'll. I mean, it's still early on. Hopefully they'll do it. I'm sure there's still tweaks that can make it flow a little better for me, but whatever. I mean, I'm not. I know some people are really upset with the art style, but I'm not so, you know, disgusted by it. It's a little cartoonier than I guess even I was expecting, but it doesn't look too bad. I think the justifications are a little weird because they keep on bringing up like, you know, SOE mode and how these faces with this cartoony style can show I guess show emotions better,
More
but like
expressive, yeah.
yeah, but like 12 people are going to use it. I used it last night for the first time ever, SOE mode, just for fun, and all I did was go around making ugly faces at
I'll give an
everybody.
example. You know
That was
how
fun.
in the previous EverQuest games you have to con your enemies to see if they're going to attack you
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that in this game. You can just tell by their facial expression whether they like you or not. And that kind of stuff I
Yeah.
like.
From third person and
That's
kind of
where I think
backed
we
up,
like the
that might be a
exaggerated
little hard, right? So,
I don't know, but I think that's why they went with the exaggerated features, because
Yeah.
even if you're standing a little bit far away from the girl, you can kind of tell, because she has the real big eyes and a real big mouth. You can tell if she's frowning or smiling, and I think that's what's going to make SOE mode actually work this time. I think it's built to work, so I think it will work. So if I'm sitting here making a face, whereas in EverQuest 2, you can kind of see it on the little screen that they have on the side, but you can't see it on the actual character. I think you'll actually be able to tell on the character now.
do y'all plan on using SOE mode? That's something you guys are interested in? Because I mean, honestly, like, I mean, not to be, maybe some people are like super into it. I just seriously don't care about it. That's like, I'm so much more excited about Jeff Butler in that video popping on an Oculus Rift as a basically a hint at what's to come. I'm so much more excited about that than like making.
Well, dude, if you're wearing
funny faces.
Oculus Rift, you're going to be even closer up to people's
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
You're gonna see these expressions even
they
better
won't be
than
able to
most
read
of
my
us.
mouth or whatever. You know, I'll have this big goggle set on my face.
Right? Yeah.
I really honestly, like, not to be a jerk, I just don't care about SOE mode. Like, I really don't. Like, and it's neat, and I guess it has its functions. If you're super into role playing, maybe that's for you. But I don't really care that much about it.
It's going to be great for machinima. I'll definitely be using it for videos. And then also,
So you run EverQuest for us, and you're the reason this shit happened. You're the blame for the cartoony look.
it's my fault. Sorry.
I love the cartoony look. I gotta say that. I know, like, I criticized the lion's head a little bit, but aside from that, I actually really like the look.
I'm not trying to be an ass because I don't think it's that bad. Like, I guess it's specifically the female looks, you know, fine to me, but it's more the goofy Karen that I'm not happy with. I wish we could have seen more races because I think I would have been able to judge it a little better if we would have seen halflings.
You know, I think they chose two good races to do. Real quick, like, they chose the Karen. They gave us that, you know, big, and he's got the big WoW armor, you know. So it's like, okay, you've got this style, but then you've also got this human in her, like, slick robes and stuff. I think they kind of, like, went with opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
showed us
and they're going to have an ugly ass baby. Anyway.
God, I hope not.
The dark elves have horns still.
No, that's not horns. That's just second ears. They're really good at hearing in this game.
I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that
No,
pulls it all together.
yeah, makes sense lore-wise. Don't worry, I read it up.
All
No,
right, well then we'll just skip past that.
no,
All right.
no.
Well,
Do you like the? I know you do not like the second horn ears or whatever they are, right?
No, not at all. My God,
Yeah.
get them things out of here.
It's all right. Maybe it's just a female trait.
If they're mandatory to be on there, like if when I create a character, if I can't take them off, that will make me stop playing a Dark Elf, and I've always played one. I don't like them at all. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm
just need
not.
to be
It's kind of a weird thing, right? I mean, it's a little strange that they went for that. So I don't. I play a dark elf typically as like a second or third character, so it won't impact me that much. But it was kind of a weird choice to go with. I don't know. Maybe the lore will justify it in some way, but sometimes, yeah, it's not really a good excuse. It looked a little funny.
I'm looking at our topics, and we kind of unofficially covered a few of them already.
Well, that's
Yeah.
fine.
But,
Because, we're nothing if not prepared. So.
yeah. What do you guys want to talk about the music next? Jeremy Soul
Yeah, we are all over
doing
the
the
place.
music for EQ next.
Hey, that would have been
Yeah,
one
I
of my
guess we could touch on
dreams.
that real quick.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
that'll
actually
be kind of a quick one.
that's
Everybody loves
something. You know, I do think he has like a not would not say 100% everybody loves it because he has a certain style that's very almost in the background. And I don't know if you guys are
Dark.
sure. Did y'all play Skyrim? I imagine you guys did.
Yeah.
So it was a great
I think-
soundtrack, but it doesn't stick out. And I think it's almost kind of when you bring it to classic EQ music, you know, it's pretty out there, and Jeremy Souls is kind of like just underlying and in the background, and it's nice. I like it, but I think they were definitely trying to, with that theme song, they definitely were trying to let us know, hey, this isn't like EQ1 or EQ1 again. This is a totally different experience.
They completely won me over on the music. I don't
Oh,
even
Jeremy
have
Soul is
any
awesome.
comments on it.
Yeah, he apparently did the sand art music as well. So he's awesome. I mean, that's a good composer, and I think they announced that they have him on board for years, so that's good.
Oh, that's great then. So I mean,
It's better than I think in EQ2 they what was it? I don't even know, Inon Zor or whatever his name is. You know, he's Jeremy Soul is top tier in you know gaming soundtracks, so that's good. It's a good pull. Good pull, Smed.
Wreck.
Well, we talked about it before the show, but my first impression when I heard the music was that it was very dark, and I was like getting braced for like a very dark styled game with dark art and just everything like very
Darky darkness.
yeah.
But it wasn't that dark.
Once I saw the debut the next day and like saw the graphics and stuff, I'm like, okay, this isn't dark at all, you know.
It was pretty
But I love the track, and I can't wait to hear the finished part. I'm actually wondering if like they will kind of blend the old theme a little bit into it.
Well, because it was a rough
We
track,
didn't get
right?
to
They
hear the
even
whole
said
thing.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they said it was an early version. I hope so. Like, I mean, you know, I know they're trying to evoke different emotions with this game, but like, I really, they need to have that old track, and I hope they're not afraid of going back to music. Like, you know, Kelvin would be the big one I think they should include in the soundtrack, and I hope they don't throw out every classic EQ track. So we'll see.
My
think
instincts
they're
are
going to.
telling me it's
You do
I think they're all gone.
really?
I really think they're starting fresh here, and I think
yeah.
I honestly think they don't want to be tied to EverQuest 1 that much at all, because I think
Mhm.
they want people to have clear expectations, and they don't want people linking and constantly comparing to the original. And I think by adding that music in, so many people will hear Caliphate music remade and then want the original Caliphate, and I think they want a fresh slate.
I think people who like just get into the EverQuest franchise with EQ Next, because I think it's gonna have a popular launch.
Okay.
They're not gonna have missed out on anything, you know, having not played any previous EverQuest games. But they said they wanted to draw on the nostalgia of those old games. So if you did play them, you know, names and places and stuff, you're gonna get those. Like, I mean, people are all stoked about the Common Lands tunnel. That's coming back. People are gonna love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. That concept art was awesome.
Can't wait
We'll
to
probably
see
have
it.
to
I've still
build the
never
damn
seen
thing.
that, actually.
We'll have
We
to
have
build
to-
it. We'll
Have to
call
look it
that.
up.
There's actually, and that was that piece of art that I tried to link you earlier. There's like little, in that concept art, they have things like I think it's like willing to sell FBSS, I believe, or something. It's like a reference to an old school item, but they like wrote that into the actual concept art if you look really hard. And in fact, the layered one has a few different classic items hidden in
Did
it
you
too. So
guys see the panel where they showed the flowing black robes?
yeah, I did. It looked good. It looked better than the EQ2
I
version.
love that kind of stuff. Way better than EQ2. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
It looked good. Matt,
Which one
what
was it?
happened? Why are you not seeing it? It's like, did you have a baby or something? Or-
I did have it. Yeah, no. For everybody out there, I am a little bit behind. I had a newborn on right before SOE Live, so I'm still catching up.
He named it after me too. It was very nice. Quasar. So, anyways, yeah.
But
Been a little tied up.
but no. So what did they show at the rope?
You guys want to talk Landmark?
I want to talk multi-class, honestly.
Multi-class?
Can I? Yeah, just I want to say one thing. I do think that Kelton's name will be in there, and then we can move on. So I don't think Kelton will be there at launch, but whenever it comes to be, though, that's some soundtrack will be in there. All right, we can move on now.
Multi-classing. I did watch these panels. I absolutely love this system. Love it. Love it. I know there's a lot of people out there who are kind of skeptical about it. Justin's laughing right now. Man, this...
No, it's good. I'm glad we have different opinions because I fucking hate it. No, I don't hate it.
You know, I hate the fact that the Trinity's gone. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think that the fact that you can kind of collect classes, mix and match them a little bit, and I just hope the classes are hard to get. If they're easy and you can kind of go grab them all in a couple months, then that's stupid. But if they're hard as hell, and it kind of adds like...
You know what my problem with all the multi-classing stuff is mostly? Is that whenever everybody can be everything, like you build up an expectation there, is it like, you know, after so many months and people start to gather all these different classes all on one character, like you kind of lose your responsibility and identity as, say, if I pick a ranger, you know, well, yeah, that's what I want to play, but the group actually needs, say, a healer of some kind. Well, 5 or 6 months in, I'll be expected to swap to that healer, even if I don't. I mean, I'm not saying I have to, but there's probably an obligation there to fill that role. And I don't know, like, I just feel like you lose identity with your class whenever. I don't necessarily have an issue with the multi-classing in theory. I have an issue with, like, everybody being able to collect every class. I mean, I know they mentioned certain racial restrictions, but I guess I'm just more old school in that mentality. Like, I feel like the character I create should be this class and sort of stick with it. So
a lot of people are throwing out Guild Wars 2 as a comparison.
Yeah,
I might be the only one who, like, I keep seeing PlanetSide 2 in this game. Like, in PlanetSide 2, I have my favorite class. But when I'm participating with people and say they need a healer, I can go grab, you know, the medic class and run around and I'm healing people and rezzing people. I'm being helpful. I'm earning certs, which I can then, I don't even have to spend on my healer class. I can spend it on my favorite class, which is a system that will be in EQ next.
That actually is.
I love it.
I'm not saying that's a bad comparison you just made, but I just think like that's the difference between like a shooter and a MMORPG to me. It's like those kind of features are standard fare in a shooter, you know. In Battlefield, you can there are all these different classes. Of course, every new death you can swap a different class. But I think that's, you know, when you talk about a role playing game, or, you know, I don't know. It's not like I'm distraught about it, but I would just rather, you know, being locked into a class, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe people hate that idea these days, but that's just something that I still cling to.
To comment on that, you're saying, I mean, the one thing you did say is that you kind of don't like it because everybody can kind of do everything, and I guess you lose that dependency on each other.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of almost I think it's going to be null and void because there's going to be no tank or healer. So if everybody is kind of responsible for themselves individually in a raid,
you're going to depend on skilled players. Like, skilled players is going to be the new thing, you know.
So if it's skill, then your class doesn't matter to an extent.
Yeah.
You can kind of do it however you want as long as you know how to do it. So I think it's going to matter more about you and how you play, and if you actually know what you're doing, rather than are you a cleric and we need a cleric, or are you and that's why I like it. It gives me the freedom to kind of play however I want to play.
I don't think that they said that the classic Trinity is not going to be there, but I know that there still is the ability to be some version of a tank and a healer if you want to be, which
Dude,
gives me
if
some
your
hope.
thing is providing defense for your allies, like I think you're totally going to be able to do that.
Well, no, I'm definitely one of the 3 million people out there who just want to do damage. So, but yeah, hopefully, I just want the people that I don't know that like to tank and enjoy healing. Like I just like that. So, and more, I guess what I was getting at is I like to be, I guess, locked into a class because you sort of become familiar with that class and you build up some kind of an identity with it. And if everybody can be everything, then you lose that. And, you know, they're big on pushing SOE mode with role playing and all this other junk. And, I mean, I don't know, that sort of takes away a little bit for me. So, I don't know. I'm not saying the majority didn't win out here, and maybe this is preferred for everybody, but just for me, I certainly like just picking a class and going with it, and every class having its role. So,
I mean, but
You
think about it like
mentioned
this. Like, I do understand what you're saying with picking a class and being tied down to something and having, but just long term. I mean, if you're playing this game for years upon years,
yeah.
do you want to have an account full of vaults or just one character that just has everything that's your character, you spend all your time there, and you can kind of switch classes on there and you can, you know what I mean? That's what I like.
Yeah,
I can
I
make
would.
one character and that's my character.
Well,
I don't have to make an account full of vaults anymore.
so the great thing I think about, and this is something I'm actually happy about, is that they removed levels, right? So there's no, I mean, I know there's a progression there, but like they removed levels. So the idea of creating an alt, like I certainly wouldn't want, say, my half elf ranger to also be the half elf shadow knight. I'd probably pick like a troll shadow knight or something along those lines. So I'll play alts regardless. Like that's what I'll end up doing. So I don't have an issue with a bunch of alts, especially whenever you don't have, you know, I don't have to create a new character and grind my way through like 800 levels and 3,000 AAs. So yeah, I actually don't mind that. Like I'm okay with alts. I mean, it's not going to ruin the game for me, right? Like I'm still going to play it, and maybe it's so much better than what we're being told. But you know, right now the multi-classing system and the no Trinity, like that's where a lot of skepticism is coming in. Hopefully, I think in a week or so they're going to have an answer for it. So, I mean, maybe I'm the vast minority here, you know. So that's fine. I mean, I'll concede that. That's okay. I just, you know, not my preference, I guess.
I think a lot of people are open to a new system. They just want to see it working. They want to see, like, you know, again, talking about the AI, they want to see how, like, AI combat is actually different.
That's totally. I agree. If they can prove to me that like their system isn't what Guild Wars 2 is, and that's fine. Like, but it's a lot of words right now, and this was this whole unveil felt like to me. Like I've watched the videos they released like way too many times, and I'm like properly excited about this shit. I really am. But like there's a lot of things that like are just unanswered or they're unwilling to answer. Maybe they got you know, the questions being thrown their way weren't always very pressing or hard, but they probably wouldn't have answered them anyways. Like even if you would have asked them a hard question, I don't think they were ready to give out any answers. So I don't know. Like it's great. Promises are great. You know, tell me your AI is going to be so much better than the rest of the industry. That's fantastic. Like let's see it. Like let's actually see it in practice. I don't see any of it right now. Like I saw a very, very badly named zone. Like how does that feel about Ashfang, by the way? Wasn't that like the worst?
I have no problem with it. But I think it's hilarious that you don't like it.
It sounds like the most cliche fantasy thing, you know. I'm surprised they didn't throw a dragon in there somewhere. But yeah, but Fiorot looked great. Is that how you pronounce it, Fiorot? I don't know. We'll see.
I actually would have jumped back to the classes real quick. We're talking about that. I think the one thing we really didn't mention too much is the fact that you can kind of customize and make your own class, which is the big thing for me. I mean, from what I understand is like you'll pick your base. Say like I know they said like a warrior might have like one offensive slot, 2 utility, and like 1 defensive. Is that right? But like if you're a ranger, you might have 2 offensive, 1 utility, 1 defensive. So I guess you would pick your base and then customize from there. Is that how it works, Rick?
I don't remember all the different specifics on it, but yeah, it does vary like that.
So yeah, like if I'm a warrior and I have 2 defensive slots, now I can just click each one and scroll through all the defensive moves I have across all classes and just pick which one I want there. And then I think they even said you could name a class. They were talking about Mage Bane. That's amazing to me.
That's where I was getting a little bit confused because like what abilities are actually like swappable? You know, I thought it was restricted to like your character abilities. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not 100% clear on how. I don't even think they're 100% clear on all this
Well, you
works.
only have like 4 spell slots, so I think you can swap them
Yeah.
4 spell slots out. And I think your weapon one's always determined by your weapon. So if you have an axe in your hand, it's just your axe. You know, if you're a warrior, it's going to be your 4 warrior axe moves up there,
Yeah.
and that's
You
it.
know, the one
But
really
your 4
cool
spell
thing,
ones, you should be able to move.
like the one cool thing that they said they are doing, and I hope it's not, I hope it's actually something significant, is they said that every class will have their own animations, right? So like me as a ranger would swing a sword different than you as a warrior. Like that seemed pretty cool to me. But
That's amazing. That's
so
a lot
all
of
these
detail.
40 classes, and you guys can probably answer this better than I can. I mean, maybe you can help me out. But like, are they actually? You can rename them. So what does that imply about like obtaining epic weapons? If you know what I call something is different from yours, or is there going to be like a core set of classes that are already defined?
I can't wait to hear more about classes. I thought that went through my head, like you mentioned, each class, it doesn't matter if you have the same weapon, you're gonna have different animations. Well, when it comes to your custom class, like, how does it choose which
That's what I'm saying.
animations?
Is there
Like,
like a base on?
Well, here's. I think I have the answer for that. Because when I watched it, I'm pretty sure like when you customize a class, it's not like you just click customize and you start from scratch. You have to pick a base class to start from. So
right.
you have to
Okay.
pick a rogue. So you're going to use the 4 rogue like weapon abilities and all that, and then you now have your 4 rogue slots. So a rogue might have 2 offensive, 1 utility, 1 defensive, where a warrior
All
might
right,
have
because
more
your
defensive
class
slots.
depends, your class determines the type of weapons you can
The
equip, the
type of
type of
weapons and what
armor.
type of slots you have,
Right, okay.
and how you hold the weapon, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. So, but like I just think like that port, I don't know what port it was, but the one where the wizard pulled everybody into them and then ported behind them after that.
Yeah.
Did you see that move?
Yeah, that was
Imagine
cool.
being a rogue and using that. Like having a rogue, being able to pop that, pull everybody together, explode, pop behind them, and
I,
just
s-
start destroying them. I keep
I
thinking
saw
like of all these
somebody
different scenarios in PvP, and oh my god, man, I can't
I
wait.
saw somebody mention on Reddit, like, in one of the Trinity debates, like, if you want to be a tank and defense is your thing, like, what if you could mix in like some enchanter abilities in there and stuff? Like, you could be mezzing and stunning and popping up walls to block mobs from getting to your mates.
That's actually like
There's all
I
all
think
kinds
you're
of
onto something. I really
possibilities.
think it's up to you to play how you want to do. If you want to stop people from
Hmm.
getting to your friend, you have 40 different classes, tons of different moves you can mix and match to make that happen. Like you just said, you can
Right.
pop up a wall after that, and then after that, you could have that move to where it pulls everybody to you, and then you port back, and then you can have a defense. You know what I mean? So I think people are still kind of hung up on well, I want to be a clear-cut tank, and that's what I want to be, to
Yeah.
where they're giving us the tools and make your own tank. Tank however you want to tank. If you want them to attack you or if you want to prevent it, go make it happen. And I like that. I like that open-endedness.
I think the thing that works with Trinities pretty well is like there's when it comes to grouping, you almost need to rely on these guys. Like everybody has a clear cut role, so it kind of builds a community because like you're going to this say dungeon run, you're going to need a healer. I just hope that like say so you're a warrior, right? Are you okay with the idea that you can have a wizard port? Like you can use a wizard portal, right? Is that how it works? Like to me, that seems something like class defining and should be class specific and like ideally, when you need a port to a certain wizard area, like you should have to go to a wizard to go to those towers, and I don't think that's going to be the way it works, right? And maybe I'm confused,
Well,
maybe I'm wrong.
let's not forget one thing with that. Now, just because you can mix and match doesn't mean it's going to be easy to get them. If you start off as a warrior, you're now going to have to become a wizard, and hopefully they do it right. That alone's a hard,
Do you think it's going to be that hard though?
task.
Because
I think it's going to be hard enough. I don't think it's going to be crazy hard because there's going to be so many.
yeah,
But if they want to do it right and make everything,
yeah.
work well, it's going to be hard enough. And then on top of that, now
Story
you have to rank
bricks
it
is
up
going
with
to
the
play a role
tiers.
in that.
Yeah, so I mean, and especially if you're a paladin, you know how hard it is going to be to get your Shadow Knight stuff?
Well, I
That's
think they
not going
even
to be
made a
easy, like
comment
how they
about
said
that
some might drop
that
from
maybe
scrolls.
even you couldn't be a paladin in the Shadow Knight, right? I thought that was actually mentioned, and I hope they at
I
least
thought it
take
was
it
You
pretty
have to
that
clear
far.
stop
that
acting like a paladin.
Yeah.
Get
yeah,
her.
you have the potential to unlock all the classes, but like Matt is saying, and like I was saying, the story bricks is going to come into play where if you're a paladin and you want to become a Shadow Knight, you're gonna have to start acting like a Shadow Knight in order for whoever the quest givers or whatever, they're gonna teach you to become a Shadow Knight. For them to take you serious,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to.
Yeah, you can't be out there helping
change
the
your
world
gameplay.
and telling them you want to become a Shadow Knight because they're gonna laugh at you.
Yeah, but I don't think you're gonna like lose classes. So you've achieved the paladin,
No.
then you become evil or whatever. You don't lose what you already got.
I think didn't they even clarify that? I think they did say you won't lose them. Like once you're a paladin, you have that stuff. But so yeah, so I mean, just to unlock the class is going to be hard enough, and then on top of that, I'm almost willing to bet that you have to tier it up to be able to get like some of the better skills, like rank it up or whatever system that is. So now, if you want to get that wizard port, you have to unlock the wizard class. And then really level it up. So I mean, not everybody's going to have it. You're going to have to put the time in to earn the stuff.
Do you like that you can work towards leveling up or progressing another class, playing another class? Like say,
Yes.
You like that?
Yes.
We're
Thank
so
God.
opposite.
That just works so much better because if there was a time to where you have to play kind of a certain play style to fit into a group, you can still level the class you want to level. I don't want to be restricted. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Another thing I think of is like I always like rangers and pet classes, and EverQuest rangers typically don't have pets. So now I want to be a ranger.
I don't want a pet.
It's because you have very bad taste.
Really, everything you guys want, I don't want. I know. I really like.
I think you're gonna like it.
I think I'm gonna. I really think I'm gonna love this damn game. Like I'm not. I don't mean to be like a negative ass here. I'm just saying like I want to see it in practice. Because that's the thing. They could have alleviated a lot of my concern by showing anything, and instead we saw nothing. Basically, we heard a lot about why it's gonna be awesome. Like I'm cool. Like
dude, I don't feel like we got shown nothing. I am having a hard time keeping up with everything I learned at SOE Live.
Well, you went there, right? So maybe you got your little.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you...
I feel like they showed us a lot. I mean, they showed us everything, but it was like a little tiny bit of everything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They showed us a little bit on the classes.
What did you see that wasn't... What did you see that convinced you of, like, the superior AI? Like, and I'm not trying to say it's not going to work out. I'm just trying to say a lot of times people have these bold visions of, what their MMO is actually going to be as opposed to what it actually does. Like, and that's the thing. What I saw, I mean, what was actually shown at SOE Live was a couple of, characters running through a desert and doing some hops and double jumps. We saw a run where they beat up a bunch of lifeless kobolds that essentially had nothing running on. Most of them just stood there and took it, right?
There was a group
I think that was
I noticed that wasn't moving, but
I guess what I'm trying to say is like there was a lot of promises, there's a lot of concept art. I think it sounds if everything that they say comes true, then like more power to them. Like I'm gonna be there day one, right? I'm gonna play it and I'll find out for myself. But I mean like it's especially with MMOs, I just have to remain skeptical because of how many times I've been burned in the past.
Another cool thing about going to SOE Live was that people can actually meet up with the developers and get information that wasn't at the panels. And this info.
Hey, are you scribbling on something there? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I hear Matt or somebody just going.
That's me. I'm drawing on a piece of paper. I'm not drawing. I'm just scribbling.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were theory crafting.
Little tidbit of information that I heard at SOE Live, which. This information was gathered by somebody else on another podcast, so this might be repeating. But say you come upon a group of goblins, and they've got like the goblin chief and then a few of the other ranks, and they're all in formation, marching around the land looking for trouble to cause or whatever. Well, in a normal MMO, or in past MMOs, you would come up to that group of goblins, and they would all just run at you.
Mm-hmm.
In EverQuest Next, they're claiming that the goblins will like close in around the chief and maybe back up to protect him, and then maybe instead of sending anybody at you, they like send one of them off into the forest, and this goblin just goes running off and disappears, and then like he's actually trying to flank you. And comes up behind you.
Yeah, I heard that, and there was also the example of the orcs. What they like gold, right? And they don't like big cities because they know the guards will murder them. So like, if all so they'll set up, and they have anybody traveling down
move around, and
Yeah, so they'll attack, I guess, any lone travelers and try to, I guess, beat them up. And if they keep getting killed, they'll move elsewhere. So there's no static
Right.
camps, right? So, and that's all cool. Like, I love that. Like, it sounds awesome in theory. I want to see it. Like, I want to see it, and that'd be a hard thing to show at SOE Live and like demonstrate, because like I'm sure that's a progression that takes longer than a day. So like it sounds amazing. Like, and if they can do it, like, more power to them. That would be awesome. Be revolutionary even.
Also with story bricks, I agree. Like I gotta see it.
Yeah.
It sounds fantastic, but also with story bricks is like, and this is like this works in story bricks, is your different characters can have different combinations of traits and stuff. Like maybe one orc is real brave, the other's a coward.
Yeah.
And that's gonna affect how they.
And there's some neat little
interact with
demos
you.
on YouTube. You can go look of the Storybricks guys running through the different, I guess, the programmable AIs, or however the hell you would say it. And it looks cool. Like, it looks like it works. I'm definitely anxious to see it. I want to see that it works in this kind of capacity. So, yeah.
I'm
You guys
definitely
want to talk
excited.
about? Go ahead.
No, go. I'm just gonna say I'm pretty excited for the AI. He's covered pretty much everything. We need to see more of it. But if even 50% of what they say is true about the AI, it's going to be game changing.
Well, I always like how,
I hope it's true.
basically
So
you have all these problems, and this is not strictly MMOs, but take the Fable series, for example. Like, you do all these great deeds, and the world will recognize you, make you feel good about what you did. And what does it typically equate to? Like, going back to a city and a couple of dumb AIs just say, "Yay, like you killed it." And it's like, "Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you, like, when you get in my area, you give me a little pat on the back." But like, it's not really that game changing. So I don't know. Like, this story brick stuff sounds awesome. It really sounds awesome. Now let's see it.
I mean, you have an entire company that's kind of working with them. That whole entire focus is that sort of thing. So I really think it's going to be leaps and strides past that. That's just my opinion.
Let's see how it plays in the combat too. Like, let's see if the combat, like, if it gets as complex as they're saying it's going to get. Like, that's what
they claim that mobs will. If you're like just spamming the same ability over and over, like, the mob's going to adjust to it. Like, he's gonna do cleave again.
That's good.
Bing. Next topic.
Yeah. Landmark. We didn't cover Landmark yet.
Okay.
Or do you guys want to talk about the rallying calls first?
Yeah. Go ahead, start with that.
So, Justin.
Okay. I don't know. So the idea behind them, right, is that I think they use Hollis. How do you pronounce it? Hollis. He was saying Hollis. I always said Hollis. But
He used Hollis.
So
That sounds right.
that's the idea, right? Did they call everybody to this event going somewhere on the Amaril, or whatever the hell they're called, Alamar or Antonica, whatever you want to call it, and and you go there and you can contribute to building the city, or
Protect.
and I'm pretty sure they were specifically asked, like, could you negatively impact the and they did not seem very receptive to that.
Well,
right?
Dave made it clear that, like, that's griefing, and they're not building a game for griefers. But he also did say, while this city's being built up, they're going to need a bunch of resources. And if you wanted, you could take you and your friends could go hog all those resources.
So basically, you could just make it a pain in the ass for people, like, which I don't necessarily disagree with, because, like, I don't know, like, the idea of, like, oh, let's all go build Kelithan, and you're able to block that from happening. I mean, I guess it is what it is, but I wouldn't necessarily enjoy that, because that's, like, some of the defining cities. So, like, I could see that maybe in certain smaller, like, maybe, like, settlements outside of the major city. Like, you were able, as a troll, to go and make sure that settlement never was built. But, like, something like a Hollis or a Kelithan, like, I mean, I don't know. I can sort of get on board with not being able to fully stop it from happening.
I think
Is it strange that I'm upset that you can't grief people?
I think
Not
it
that I
would
want
be
to do
great
it,
if
but honestly, like, I
this
think
was
if somebody wants to play,
if
I
this
think if
was a
somebody wants
game
to
with
play,
a
like, an
strong
evil race.
PvP focus, dude, we're talking at the same time.
No, go.
I was saying, if this was a game with a strong PvP focus, then that would be awesome. Definitely while rallying calls are going on, you're going to want to prevent it. but I don't think it's that kind of
Could
game.
you just go around Hollis and build a huge ring around it, and then carve out the bottom, and just have the whole thing come down? Like that'd be great, right? If you take out the support, then how does it stand?
Right.
No, they're not going to let you do that.
Somebody else mentioned that in one of the panels. I'm pretty sure somebody mentioned that in a question and answer, and they said there's going to be, they don't have anything yet, but I'm sure they're going to limit it or do
There's gotta
something
be
to prevent that
protection
from
in
happening.
place.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think they're
if
going to let
there's a
you.
main city, like you're not gonna sack the city.
So how do this whole rally system? I think is going to play a big part in actually developing the game, right? Like I think they're going to use this as a way to they can actually launch with a lot of. I'm not saying this is what they're doing, but maybe a lot of content missing, and then the idea being that over the course of time, like year one, this is where the game started, and year 10, this is how it's developed, and they can use these rally calls to fill in the empty spots of the land, and I think they'll do that with things like Hollis and Nariak even. I mean, hopefully some of these iconic cities will be there from the launch, but I don't expect a lot of them to be there. I think they'll be gone. I think it'll be on the players to try to participate in the events. And I kind of hope, like, kind of tying this into race right now, like they specifically have elf, right? They have no wood elf, no high elf, no anything like that. Like, so I think my idea would be cool if they did something like this, and maybe y'all can laugh at me. But like, if say you go on, you start with an elf, and essentially they have a rally call to build Fellweed or Skeleton, and then you construct this, and maybe that's how the different maybe I'm screwing the lore all up
Unlocks a
here.
new race.
Basically, because you construct Skeleton, and then down, timeline wise, like maybe that's when the wood elves start to come into play, because now you have any elf that chooses to go to Skeleton would potentially be a wood elf, I suppose, and maybe I just crossed the lore like all up, but like you got Fellweed and
It
high
creates
elves,
all
so-
kinds of possibilities, especially for how servers are going to be different.
yeah.
Like, I really hope it's more than just like, building things and stuff. Like, oh, this city's in a different place on this server than it is on this server. I hope it's more, and it's like there's a different conflict going on between two different races on this server than on this server.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think if
Stuff
they
like
want to make
that.
it interesting, they'll go beyond just basic crap like that. So yeah, I
Or
hope
maybe
they.
one server unlocks a race that another server doesn't have.
Well, here's a question. You know how they're talking about building like Hollis or just whatever it is. Say you have town A, and the rally calls there, and you're kind of helping them out to build it. Is there a way to fail at that? I think they're actually. I
Hollis
hope
had-
there is. But
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing.
it's gonna
I could.
fail. I think it's just it'll
So
just
then I
take
kind of feel
longer.
like it's almost like scripted. If you put something in and know that it's eventually going to get to this point, and there's nothing we can do to kind of screw it up, like I'd rather it have more consequence. Like they could try to throw in like Shantytown Village A, and if we don't defend it enough and help them out enough, then it just becomes ruins, and that's just that. And maybe
Yeah.
down the line it becomes something else. But I'd like to see some more, severe consequences for
Yeah.
not helping for failing, honestly. Because if you can't fail, then I'd almost not be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And who knows where they're gonna go with rally calls? Like, as they add more game updates and stuff, and new rally calls get introduced, so they might get more creative with it. Who knows?
It'd be cool. It'd be really cool. It's like
I'm excited for them regardless, because it's gonna they're talking about a rallying call that could last 3 months.
That's the
of
thing.
their
That's what's
lifetime.
actually cool too, because like all the public quests to me, like it's an interesting concept, and I'm glad it started becoming a thing. But as it stands, it's pretty small, right? Like most public quests don't seem they're pretty trivial, and when you extend it out over even a month, and it might have real consequences, like that's whenever I'm interested in it. So I don't know. I'm pretty intrigued by that.
Some people are gonna be like, there's gonna be like server competition too. Like, oh really? Talus took you 4 months. Only took us 2. Like,
Well, hopefully do things that like really scar the land and everything, like really shape. I don't know, like even like a battle between Kelton and Crushbone or something like that. Maybe on one server, Crushbone, like you didn't do what you needed to kind of stop the orcs from expanding it out even further. So I hopefully they take it beyond just like you said. If everybody ends up getting the same unlocks, then it's kind of pointless. Hopefully every server is unique and events are.
But just like what you said with the orcs or the Crushbones taking it over, I really think that sort of thing needs to be a possibility. Like if you don't defend it enough, they take it over, and that's
Yeah.
now their land. Because if every server is going to be different, then that sort of thing needs to be an option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It actually needs to be different. To where if on my server I might go here and Hallis might be here, but if on your server I go there, that could be Hallis Ruins now run by Crushbone.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to see, a world that actually evolves based on what we do, not that it's a predetermined outcome and we're just helping it get there.
Yeah. Agreed.
But
Well,
again,
how about,
I mean, we
'cause
don't
I
really
think-
know. It's hard to say.
I think
what they're doing.
you're not going to really be able to totally avoid some of the scriptedness, but maybe a few different options, like a few different outcomes are possible.
Something, yeah. There at least needs to be more than one outcome. If there's two, even if it's just two, that's better. But if it's all boiling down to the same, you know what I mean? If it's all boiling down to house is going to be built, this is what it's going to look like, and this is what it's going to be ran by, and you just have to kind of go and progress that storyline along. That just, I don't know. That bores me, honestly. If that's the case, I don't really think it's that much more.
As well as another server, like our Hollis is pristine and awesome and amazing, and your Hollis, it got built, but it's kind of shit. Like it's a little run down and like beat up. It took some battle wounds, so yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I'll say this:
so
I don't think that, like, I think in no regard, if Hollis is happening, it's happening. It's like I don't think they would make something like that where you could just prevent it from actually, I guess, being built. But maybe if you, at the very least, make it a little different server to server, you know, I don't know.
I don't. All right, let's say it's not preventing it from being built, but let's just say you fail. It's now run by Crushbones, and now you kind of have to. But say then quests are the rally call just stays there. But I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you fail Crushbones, but you can kind of go.
I mean,
back
you definitely want
and try to retake it
consequences.
over and build it again.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I can tell from their attitudes that, like, if Hollis is happening, it's happening, right? That's the impression I got, anyways.
So then, if Hollis is happening, no matter what real effect do we have?
I think on other things that aren't quite so, maybe like a city, you know, other smaller landmarks, maybe less important, which kind of, I guess, takes away the cool factor a little bit. But because I just don't think that they're going to let you prevent cities from being built. Like, you know, I could be wrong. I guess I could be wrong, but it'd be the first time.
I don't know. I kind of hope I don't know. I want there to be actual consequence. If we're in a bad server with a bunch of lazy people, I think our server should just be crap and ran by bad NPCs.
Yeah.
Is Rec running away? I don't even know what's happening right now.
He escaped. He's getting something right now. Rec,
are you with us, Rec?
Sorry about that.
I think everybody's wondering what just happened.
I'm expecting an important call. So.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. More important than this on a Saturday?
Priorities, Rec. Priorities. Let's get to it. Okay. No, that's cleared up. Landmark. Thoughts? Love, hate, weird. Do you understand it?
Weird. I'll start with one. It looks cool, right? Like, it looks pretty cool. I think it was very, very crafty on SOE's part to make a game out of creating content for them, right? Like, and that's not a knock against them. That's actually pretty brilliant, because, like, and I hope that they give a little better compensation than just like a pat on the back for creating something. Like, if you create something that gets put in game, like, I hope they reward you like with some kind of monetary value. You know,
dude, how is that not like an awesome reward that your castle, your palace is in the game, like the actual economics?
I mean, it's awesome, right? Like, it's cool, but at the same time, you put a lot of hours into it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not speaking for myself here, because I will probably never put the hours into ever even getting anything in that game. So,
Rick, I have a question for you and Justin about this whole thing, about how you can build on there. Do you remember at one point in time they were talking about, let's say you build a tower. You can now sell that tower, but if somebody else uses that tower to build a castle, you get money off of all the castles they sell.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do know.
So does that mean that the stuff you actually build in Landmark, it's like Player Studio too, you can actually sell that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it ties right into it, I'm pretty sure. So,
so what about, like,
I think they're going to tie
armor and all that?
That is not in. And that's something I hope will eventually become, you know, tools
part
that
of
they'll give
Landmark.
us. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to design weapons with Player Studio using your 3D programs, your software.
Yeah, because that's
I'm
something
hoping they'll give us their tools in Landmark eventually.
That's what I want.
I want
to
Landmark to just be like I want it to be more than just Minecraft. It's like the hub for anyone interested in Player Studio and
I mean,
creating
that's the thing.
things for
Like,
the game.
Well, like,
there's so
isn't
many
it cool?
weapons I'd like to create, but I don't have
Mhm.
them. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on these freaking crazy programs to do it and learn how to do it. But
Well,
if they
no,
give me the tools to do
but
that, I'll
that's what.
spend the time. I'll put
Well, that
weeks
is.
upon weeks into building one weapon if they just give me the
But
stuff.
I don't know how the weapons go, right? Because I'm pretty sure everything you do in Landmark is based around this whole voxel system, right? So, like, I think the coolest thing about that is, like, you could essentially, if you play with like-minded people, you could recreate technically like the original EQ1, right? I mean, aesthetically, I'm speaking more of like you could rebuild these rebuild these classic cities like Freeport, and that the whole thing behind it, right? You get a plot of land, and I don't. Is there combat involved in any regard? Is it light combat or?
I don't
I
think
have
there's
no
any
idea.
combat
I
in
thought that they
Landmark, but
had
I'm sure
mentioned
people will
some minor
figure out
level.
ways to troll each other.
I thought they had mentioned something. But either way, so what should we expect with it? I mean, that's my bigger question is like out the gate. If most of I say the cities and everything they're not ready for EQ Next yet, like proper EQ Next. Like, what landmass are we working with here? Is it going to be places like Ashfang and Fiorot and all these other places, or what is it?
It's
They're
gonna be
randomly generated.
randomly
Oh,
generated
really?
land
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
so
good.
they're just
built
going
on.
to
But
randomly
But
generate
thematically, though,
worlds. And
I'm not 100% sure on this, but when they do want you to create, say, some castle for
yeah.
the actual EQNX game, I think there might be a continent, like
Hmm.
an Antarctica that you could go
So
work
the
on.
whole landmass is random generation. That's all it is. And it's massive, or is it? It looked like there was at least different themes to the land. I mean, like one definitely looked
Probably.
more like
Yeah.
Ashfang. One
Well,
there
they're
was
describing like different themes around the land as being like different Lego sets.
yeah.
So you can imagine when a new game update comes out and like, say, maybe the gnomish city at Kanon or whatever gets introduced, you can have all these like cool gnomish textures and
Hmm.
resources to work with.
I think Landmark actually sounds awesome. Like, I mean, it's cool. At least it'll, like, kind of whet our appetite for something new EverQuest related.
Dude, like hardly anybody saw that coming, right? Like they
I
said we
did
get some kind of
not guess
playable
that at all.
thing. I met a guy
Actually,
at one of the
Justin
panels
called that
who
to an
did
extent.
call it. Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was so well beyond what I was thinking, right? But it was in-game tool sets and something we can interact with. But they took it to a new. It looks awesome. Like they took it to an extreme I wasn't really anticipating, and yeah, I don't know, it's
I
awesome.
met this guy at SOE Live who like he had mentioned that years ago his dream was that the next EverQuest would be combined with Minecraft, and he kind of got that, so that was pretty cool.
And a lot of that actually, and I give credit. There was a lot of theory about what would be shown there, and on the reroll forums, and this guy named I think it's like Tad10, he had mentioned it before. So I can't take full credit for the complete prediction of it, but it's more or less what I guess we were expecting. But I would say like way beyond what I was really thinking. So it looks awesome. Like it looks really great. So and the thing is, like, think about what people are able to create in Minecraft. Like, I mean, really go on YouTube. I mean, I know we probably already all have. Like, imagine what they're able to recreate in Minecraft. Now give them like this much more intricate system to work with. I mean, they were showing you could like slice down. So it's not, of course, not all cubes. And the world isn't made of cubes. So like people are gonna get ridiculous.
It is made of cubes.
It's gonna be awesome.
But you can shape those cubes and
okay, well, that's what I mean by that. It's like it's not like the big Minecraft block. I know it starts there, but you can shade and twist and wreck. Quit busting my balls. You know what I'm talking about.
There's going to be some crazy stuff made. I mean, the stuff that these people are going to come up with is going to be nuts.
Something I noticed was before SOE Live on their website, they had like the schedule of the panels, and some were labeled, EQN, and others were labeled EQNL. And I was like, is that some kind of error or something?
I didn't know.
No, that was Landmark.
Landmark. Well, I'll be damned. SOE, you sly devils.
Yeah, we missed that one. So, I just want to jump away from Landmark unless you have anything else to say about that. They did say that we're going to start getting updates more regularly now, right? Like all the time.
Yeah, because we are building this game, right? it said our about like 12 times. This is our game. So far, like
Yeah.
it's meant a bunch of polls, like do you want Ratonga?
I
But
mean,
yeah,
are we
they're
going to get
around.
anything more than that?
Well, I
Do you
mean,
mean, are
hopefully.
we going to get more information soon?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want just polls, but, like, if they said we're going to start getting more information all the time, I want them to hold true with that, and I
Well,
want more information to come out.
like Gamescom is right around the corner, so it's
Yeah, that's
another
what I'm
PAX.
hoping for. Is that all the upcoming conventions over the
We'll have
next
something
year?
new.
I
I
hope
think
we
that.
have
Well, he was even
something.
saying like not even monthly, like it's going to be even weekly, and I think part of that will be this
Yeah.
we got the combat document coming out to kind of better explain why it's not Guild Wars 2 done over. So I think it'll be better. Like at the very least, like we have seen some screenshots and concept art and some gameplay footage. So like it's not going to be this complete blackout anymore. And at least that's enough to get excited about. So, but I think at Gamescom they'll probably show something, which is the end of this month, I believe. And I don't remember when the PAX is. That might also be later this month or beginning of next month. But I think we'll see some good stuff soon. So
And
they
with
have
these
to,
road
right?
Are we going to get the answer of, like, what happens? Like, obviously we can see who's winning, but
Yeah.
when do they end? Like the Ratonga one that's going on right
I
now.
don't-
When's that going to end?
Here's
Are
I
they going to
should
give us an
note
answer?
I should note that just because a poll wins doesn't mean that
It's
that's
gonna
what
happen.
that's what happens.
No,
It
I
means,
don't.
like,
Yeah.
they're just gonna take your suggestion. They're gonna consider that the
Like for as much of it, they're
Yes.
definitely pushing that this is our game. Like they're gonna make decisions on their own. Like you can't leave everything up to the hands of like what people are voting on in a poll. So they'll still.
I
It's all
agree, but I
sort of
think
their
they should
game.
more
put.
than a poll. Like they've got the forums up, and
Yeah, but I
That's
think
such a
those discussions are
God.
really popular.
Yeah. The
But
only
the
bad thing
polls,
about
I'm
like
saying, like, they
official.
should put answers on the polls that they're actually willing to do. You know what I mean? They should say, here's the 4 different scenarios that we're willing to go for with this. Let's put it up and see what people should go. Like, I don't want to see them wasting our time and just putting up a bunch of answers, us going, this is what we want, and them saying, well, we kind of really didn't have that in mind. We're going to go this way anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's a really bad way to do this.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I really think they should limit it to the things they're willing to do before
To
they
bend
vote
on
on
a
the
little
polls.
bit. Yeah.
I don't think
You know
it's
what I mean?
bad though if, like, say a poll leans one way, but in the actual community discussion there are some extremely good points made by people
Mm-hmm.
opposing the general consensus, and if
Yeah,
they
'cause
go off that, that's cool.
This is
Well,
weird. You know
so
what?
far all the polls are going in my favor, so
Did
no,
you
I don't
vote
really.
for the Ratonga? Because like on one hand, like I wanted to vote yes because I'm like more about every race being in there. I don't really care. But like
Oh,
if
come
it's at the,
on.
if
No,
it's at
I
the
voted like I don't care.
if it's at the expense of a better race, which is about any race that isn't like actually I don't mind Ratonga, right? Like
They're cool.
but
Every race in there.
that's what I said. So except no, not every race because the Fae don't deserve it.
No,
The
no.
vampire people, the free blood, don't deserve it. The EQ1,
That was.
the dragon people, what the hell are they called? Draken shouldn't be
Dragon.
in there. Yeah, they shouldn't be in there. Also, you know what else shouldn't be in there? I have to throw this in here. Skinny ogres and skinny trolls. Those are fat
I
guys.
agree.
Right, those are fat guys.
Skinny ogres and
Fat
trolls should not be in there.
Yeah.
But jacked up trolls like EQOA
No.
should be very much a part of this.
You and the 14 people who played EQOA can have your ripped.
You just pissed off 14 people, and I'm telling you, man.
There are a lot of
crowd, there
them.
might be like 7 of them, but they will find you. They are very
They will.
passionate.
I've already,
You
they
just
can
pissed
already
on the
see
grave
too
of their
much.
favorite
Look, I'm just saying that every ogre should be fat and snotty, and every troll should be fat, wrinkly, fatter than the ogres. Yeah, fatter than the ogres. Have warts, be hideous, and scratch their ass as an idle animation. Done.
There needs to be. All right, I think we can meet in the middle. How about if you have customers, if you can choose, if you can have a weight scale. You want them to be
Matt,
fat, make them fat. If you want them to be
There
slim,
is no middle ground here. This is serious. This is either I'm playing this game or I'm not. This is all. It depends on fat ogres and trolls. Domino.
So the fate is in the weight of the races. You're very
Yes,
superficial.
exactly. Yes. No. Yeah. You know what? It's our game, right? We can have muscular troll. If people want to wrongly play a troll, then more power to them.
So now here's another question. If it's our game and you want one thing and I want another thing, whose game is it now?
My game. I'm more concerned about myself here, guys. Oh, that's not gonna play well to the ego comment, is it? I'm sorry.
Messed up. You guys, Reddit's get tore apart again.
No, I'm definitely no. You know, we can have choice, right? The only thing I want to settle is that ogres should be fat and not like these Hulk people. They honestly, seriously, in that art though, did it not look a little trollish? I mean, orc-ish to you? Because that's what they kind of look like to me, especially in the Gabor painting. It looks like an orc. Fat.
I don't know.
Intelligent.
I think the best way to solve all these problems is just to give options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
they just need to flip
pick and
the
choose
curse
kind of.
That's right. People, I think that's the lore, right? The ogre's got the curse. We just need to curse them again.
Dude,
you know what would be great is if like halfway through the game it evolved. They were super intelligent, and you know, like 13 people were happy with their ripped ogres, and you know they were all smart and tactical. And then like year 2, they just get inflicted with the curse, and all of them, even the people that are already playing them, just become like these like fat, ugly, snotty people. It'd be so great. Like all the progression. Now they got a fat ogre, snotty.
You're pretty serious about the fat ogres, man. Whatever. Take the ogres. I don't care about the ogres. Just give me the trolls.
Send
That's all I
me
want,
the
the
idea.
trolls.
Well, you're stuck with double-eared dark elves, so whatever. You got your own problems.
You know, now all of a sudden I have horns. That was such a bad call. If
You
there's
know how-
anything they did wrong, it's horns. Honestly.
You know how half elves are
Get
gonna
the horns
have.
off, you had a phenomenal
They're
reveal.
gonna have
That's where they
it-
went wrong.
They're gonna have in-game marriage, and a human and a half elf are gonna get married. 9 months later, no, I'm sorry, a human and an elf, and then 9 months later, half elves are born. I'm giving you ideas here, SOE. You don't have to pay me for them. Just gotta take them.
Yeah, but in reality, honestly, things like that would be kind of cool if it did happen.
Sounds
Like
like
if
a
half
lot.
elves weren't there, but if you did have some sort of a rally call to where those two races meet up and they kind of start breeding, and then down the line, once
Dude,
that city's kind of
rallying call,
established,
Romeo and Juliet, like elves and humans
that's a sexy rally call.
get together.
Okay.
But all right, now that I see kind of what they're doing with it, I don't think all the races and cities are going to be in there in the beginning, but I kind of see why.
Yeah. I hope they take it that far.
So-
I hope it's not just
Like,
a
how
bunch of,
fun
like,
is it gonna be to like go over and like, found Calathon?
That'd be
Or
awesome.
whatever.
I'd
That'd
rather
be
just
awesome.
be there. No, I think it's actually going to be really cool. Like they were saying though, like, do you remember when Hallis wasn't there? Like, didn't they like mention something like
Yeah,
that? I
they
think that
did.
will be cool.
Yeah,
Like 2
they-
years
yeah.
down the line, looking back at how drastically different the server is. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of EverQuest fans hate World of Warcraft, but I'm just going to say the one expansion, Cataclysm, changed all the old zones. And that was like such a big change, and people always talk about that. That's going to happen all the time, from what I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah,
And
you
I
know,
think
that's
that's
the
going
scary
to be
thing,
cool.
though, too, right? Because, like, I know a lot of people aren't, like, it depends on how far they take it, because I don't think a lot of people were happy with Cataclysm. I'm not really sure on that. I'm not going to speak for WoW players. But, okay, so I don't, even whenever I think about, like, cities that got rebuilt in EverQuest 1, like Freeport, which I loved Freeport originally, and then they redid it, and it's kind of, I just don't, like, it's lost all its charm. And, like, I don't know, I don't want to get too crazy. Like, they mentioned Lava Storm, and you know, I wanted to have a certain few iconic, either I don't know, rocks or iconic rocks, right? But I don't want it to look different day 15 than it did day 10, and because like then what kind of attachment do you ever have those on? It's like it's always changing. I'm hoping those are static, and I do think they mentioned that. So I think they're like maybe to some extent you can kind of mold the way they look, but I don't want to just completely be able to break it down to rubble. But I think they've even cleared that up, so I don't have too big of a fear there. So
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that drastic, but I do think there's going to be a lot of changes in the world, and I think that's good, though. I really do. Like, if stuff's the same way for so long, you have no choice but to become so used to that when it does change, everybody's in shock. They're like, oh my god, give me the old stuff back. Kind of like what happened with World of Warcraft, and Cataclysm was a bad expansion, for the record. Terrible. Terrible. That's kind of when I stopped playing, my opinion. Hate to be mean. I liked everything. Lich King, loved it.
why so mean?
No, but
Okay.
if stuff's always changing, I think people will get used to it and start to appreciate it. You'll be more, in my eyes, I'll be more remembering like the founding of different cities, and that'll be kind of my nostalgia and memories rather than actually just sitting in the city.
Yep.
Where if like in EQ, I always think about Freeport, and that brings back memories for me. But I think it's going to be a lot cooler if my new memory is now. Remember when me, Rec, and Justin helped build Freeport, and we did this and we did that, and then 6 months later we helped defend it against the orcs, and then finally got destroyed, and now it's not even there. We built it, it came, you know what I mean? I just think it's cool.
So I think we managed to actually cover every topic we have listed.
Everything. We really did.
So we'll see you next year. Just want to say
no,
shout out to Big Flex.
We got plenty to talk about.
We do, but I don't want to cover everything.
Yeah.
I want to mention to the viewers that we are trying to convert to a live show, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I think it's going to start going to Twitch, right?
As long as everything goes right. Yes,
Yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Next time we'll be on Twitch live, and we will let everybody know ahead of time. Hopefully.
Yeah. And how about a round of applause for old Rec here for the awesome SOE Live updates? That was awesome. You did a really good job.
They were awesome. That was. I just stared at his Twitter feed the entire time.
Yeah.
And
Between him and this guy named Tatin, like they both did a really awesome job. So you really did do great, dude. Like it was awesome. It was appreciated.
I didn't plan to do that, but one of my old buddies from another website sent me this Twitter like, "Hey, I'm counting on you to get me through these panels," because he didn't get to go to SOE Live, and it ended up being really useful. So I know what I'll be doing.
Yeah, especially for me, I had the newborn, so it was kind of hard to do anything. But if I could just keep pulling out my phone and checking your Twitter, it helped a lot. So
the worst thing though is that they all got these free posters, and he decided to get Matt a poster, and then when he decided,
I didn't decide. Matt
I was proactive. I approached him and
it shows the lack of care.
Oh God! Next year,
now that I'm staring at you face to face, now you can see the hurt in my eyes. It hurt.
I just think it shows the lack of dedication on your part. I knew they were selling them, and I made sure I took all avenues to get a poster shipped to my house.
I lack every bit of dedication.
You know what I mean? I think we see who the core of this podcast is right now.
I agree. I'm nothing if not dedicated.
Nothing if not dedicated.
Double negatives. Okay, well I think we're good.
Right. So that's it for this podcast. Look for us on Twitch next time, and hopefully next time you guys can be a part of it and bash us as we're doing it, or ask us questions, or whatever it may be, and I look forward to it.
Sure. I like getting bashed. Like, I hope that people come on here, and I really do want people to get on Twitch and interact, and maybe even throw us some questions, and I'm sure we're going to overlook certain topics, so if you guys got some, that'd be good.
Yeah. Feel free to criticize us. Just be nice about it, because we have feelings. Don't make us cry on Twitch, That'll be kind of embarrassing and all
that would be so
for everybody. Yeah, so just, all right, we'll see you then.
Done.